Hello guys, Nika here with your daily neuro nugget. Here I am again, kind of feverish. We need to talk about Eric Goer. I'm making a part 2 because yesterday I did not cover his creepy Facebook post, and I feel like they need to be addressed because they need to. So I want your guys' opinions on these posts. What do you think? Maybe I'm just psychoanalyzing too deeply. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think of these posts? So before we get started, I'm going to give a few seconds to all the sensitive people out there. If you're a sensitive person, go away. Thank you. Thank you. This is not for sensitive people. First and last, trigger warning. Also, yes, this is me speculating. Yes, this is me doing my own Google research. Yes, this is for entertainment purposes only. Yes, me talking about specific people does not give you the right to go harass them or bother them or contact them. I do not condone that. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get into this information, because a lot of you yesterday mentioned it was probably Emma, and I understand a lot of people want it to be Emma Bailey so bad, but I think that theory is just reaching a little much. That's just my opinion. I will make a video later on Emma, but for now, I think there's just way too many coincidences pointing to Eric. And we hear things about Emma all the time, but we almost never hear about Eric. Why is that? That alone is suspicious in my book. So Eric, for his Facebook, works at a nonprofit. Per his LinkedIn, works at the university. Per the university website, works at the university. In fact, his phone number, job title information is still on the website. I can link it in the description. It's linked in one of yesterday's posts, so you guys can scroll through, find that link. Again, do your own research and come to your own conclusions. It's just a bunch of us, people here, trying to figure out these odd connections, weird coincidences, and they need to be addressed. So, what stood out to me from yesterday's comments is that a lot of you mentioned that Eric does this picking people up thing for free. It's not actually paid. It's something that people from the university do out of the kindness of their own hearts. I'm not saying there are not kind people, but you're telling me you're a married man picking up young 21-year-old females who are potentially intoxicated at 2 a.m, sir? What does your wife think about this? Because again, this is me speculating and psychoanalyzing, but in most normal marriages, the wife would probably not be too thrilled about that. It's not that the wife is trying to be controlling, it's that it's normal to want your significant other to be with you at 2 a.m. on a Sunday. So I wonder what Katie, his wife, has to say about his behavior. Is she one of those that says, oh, he's just trying to be helpful? Ladies, married women watching my videos, how would you feel? Because if it were me, I wouldn't be worried necessarily that he's going to switch me out for a teenager or a 21-year-old. I would be worried for him. You are putting yourself, sir, in a dangerous situation. This is 2022, 2023. You can't just be out and about with drunk females. The odds of that ending well are not good. That's just math, my friends. It's statistics. So keep that in mind. I'm going to get straight into his weird Facebook post. Again, I understand that you shouldn't judge somebody based on their Facebook posts alone. But in my opinion, and I have 2 psych degrees, social media and your posts can give me some insight on you, on your personality, your political beliefs, religion. Be very careful what you post online, because you might not think that it's giving people information or insight, but it is. And again, some of the posts that this man has on his profile are old. One of them is from 2013, but still, for those of you who understand psychology, you understand that core personality traits do not change. Let's get right into it. If you guys want to actually see this post, you can zoom in on yesterday's thumbnail, take a screenshot, and zoom in and look, because I found it deeply disturbing. Who says this stuff? Who says August 21st, 2013, Eric Goer, dear Facebook, you make stalking someone too easy, ... It's kinda creepy. Then he lists 10:11 p.m. coordinates, and then there's a picture on the far bottom right of two young females who appear to be hiking. They're wearing shorts, they're wearing hiking shoes. Maybe one of them has a backpack on, but it looks like they're alone, walking on an empty road. It looks like they're hiking to me. What do you think? What does that picture look like to you? You know what I find creepy about people like this, posts like this? You're putting it out there for the world to see. You make stalking someone too easy. It's kind of creepy. No, what's too creepy is you stalking these two young females, putting their coordinates on Facebook and sharing them with the freaking world. Because if I were one of those girls, I would be livid. Why are you sharing where I am at with the world? Why are you trying to find out where I am at? Which is why I always advise people, especially females, because statistically females are more likely to get stalked than males. Always hide your location, ladies and men. Hide your location. Don't post that you're out and about in Chicago while you are still in Chicago, downtown Chicago. Post later when you have moved or you're not there anymore, because people like Eric, people like this exist, okay? They are literally tracking your VPN or your coordinates or your social media. They're stalking you. In my opinion, this is a form of stalking. He is stalking two young girls, in my opinion. Why are you doing that? That is creepy. That is a big effing red flag. This makes me angry. I don't like it. I don't like how it makes me feel. Because this is an invasion of privacy. Again, people, if you have social media, reminder, hide your location. There's also another weird post, and maybe he has a weird sense of humor. I still think it's creepy. Okay, there's a couple of posts. He's wearing a face mask, creepy Halloween face mask, taking pictures with friends, taking pictures alone, taking pictures of mask in general, saying that he patched it up, that it's good to go. Why are you taking pictures in this creepy Halloween looking mask when it's not Halloween? I believe the post was a summer post. Again, maybe just something weird. Maybe he's got a weird sense of humor, but most people don't like to just run around wearing these creepy masks in the middle of summer or anywhere, anytime but Halloween, right? Right? Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm weird like that. Let me know what you think. A third post, again, maybe he's got an odd sense of humor, but he posts half a hair, you know, a rabbit, large, half of it. Looks like chewed up by a dog or something. He says his puppy left it and he thought it was cute. Okay, I've had a neighbor's cat do that for me and leave me little birds, unalived birds for me. I still don't think it's cute. I understand that it's something animals do, but to find half a hair on your bed and then say it's cute and then take a picture of it and then post it on Facebook. Again, am I psychoanalyzing this too much? I think it's weird. Is that normal? Is that cute? Would you do the same if you were him? There's also people saying, Nika, he wasn't the driver. It wasn't him. It was somebody else probably. They're probably protecting Emma. Okay, maybe. But you know what? His name is on the unredacted affidavit. Olivia said it was him that they reached out to. It was Eric Goer. That was the name of the driver. I know there's other names floating around. Remy, is that a nickname? Who is that? I have no idea where that name came from. I remember hearing it. But per Olivia, and per the affidavit, and per all these interviews, the private driver was Eric Goer. So, what in the world is going on? Are you guys saying that somebody pretended to be Eric and did all these fake interviews with all these social media and news sites? Yeah, it could be, but again, I think that theory is too reaching. Occam's razor, guys. The simplest answer is usually right in front of us. And I think that the simplest answer is that Eric went ahead, did all these interviews anonymously, because at the time his name was redacted from the affidavit. But I think it had to be Eric that did the interviews. The information that is given in the interviews point to him, point to how much he knew, what he did. And I don't think anybody else could have pretended to be him and know this much. Okay, this is what he said in the Daily Mail interview titled, give me 1 second here. Private taxi driver who drove Idaho roommates Kaylee and Madison home hours before they were blank to DEATH breaks his silence, saying the two roommates were excited about their food and nothing seemed amiss. Okay. So I'm like rereading the interview. And then I think this stood out to me because it just off, something off. He says, speaking for the first time and exclusively to dailymail.com, the private taxi driver, who's probably the last person to see Kaylee and Madison, said, "It's weighed on me. I've replayed that night a million times over, trying to think if there was some sign or some detail that something was amiss, but there was nothing." You've replayed that night a million times over, trying to think if there was something amiss? Okay. Maybe. Or could he be thinking about something else that was amiss? Here, he says, I had known Kaylee and Maddie and Xana too. They would occasionally get rides home. And there was nothing out of the ordinary about that night. So in this interview, I know I mentioned this yesterday, he knows Maddie, but in the other one, he calls her a female. Okay. Off. And again, Eric contradicts himself. I told you guys in one of my first videos, people that commit crimes often insert themselves into investigations. They will turn and twist their stories. They will switch their stories every time they're interviewed because they can't keep track. And then often that's how they get caught, because they can't keep track of their lies. And this is just something that stood out because he's contradicting himself yet again. He says, I just sort of pulled in front of their driveway. I didn't pull right into the parking lot. I usually try not to do that because that's an easy way to get robbed. All right. I try to stay in positions where I can go in either direction so I can get away if I have to. Sounds like he's afraid or thinking ahead, right? You're thinking about potentially getting robbed and potentially having to get away. Then he goes on to say, I didn't watch them go all the way in. There were two of them. It's relatively safe. It's not something I would sit and watch. But then you contradict yourself saying it's a relatively safe place and you wouldn't sit and watch. So which is it, Eric? Make up your mind. Is it safe or is it not? Are you going to get robbed or are you not? Something to keep in mind. And remember, this guy took a week off after work because he was so shaken. He was so shaken. A week off. To heal, maybe? If he had wounds, cuts, injuries, I wouldn't go into work either. If I were the crime committer. Would you go into work with cuts and wounds and bruises? No, you would probably call off. It's also enough time to clean your vehicle. Just saying, just putting it out there. Not saying he did, I'm just saying it's a week off. I just took a week off of driving when I just stepped back from it all. These kids deserve justice. Another thing. I have not seen the Taco Bell receipt, which by the way, people are getting confused. The Uber driver with the private driver, the food delivery guy with the private driver. Two different people. The private driver, Eric Goer, per the affidavit and per Eric's interviews here, said he went to Taco Bell. I don't know what time he went to Taco Bell, but apparently that's how Moscow PD cleared him. I called Taco Bell's near Moscow. You know what time they close? 2 a.m. Drive-thru closes at 2 a.m. The front closes at 10 or 11 p.m. if I'm not mistaken. So he had enough time. He dropped the girls off at 1:56 a.m. You had enough time to get to Taco Bell? And then on top of that, you kept your receipt? How fast were you going to get to Taco Bell before closing? Or are you saying that they stayed open for your order? I personally doubt that. I want to see this Taco Bell receipt because knowing Moscow PD's interviewing process, like Jack S. was interviewed apparently through the phone. Is that what you did, Moscow PD? Did you just call your buddy here who plays Santa for you on occasion? Did you just call him on the phone and say, hey, bud, we need you to text us your receipt? Or we don't even have to see it. Just, we believe you. We know you. We know you're a good dude. You play Santa for us. We know your wife works here. You guys are good people. Is that the type of interview that they did? Because I don't work for law enforcement, but come on now. All my family does. You always want to interview people in person. Body language says so much more than a text, than a phone call ever will. So I want to know, how was he cleared? Was he seen in person? That's what I want to know. Because if he wasn't, then we have a whole other issue there. There's another interview. Law and crime. He lived 1,200 feet from my door. Driver who brought Idaho victims home tonight, they were unalived, is exceptionally glad about suspect's arrest. I'm sorry, but I haven't even heard parents of the victims say exceptionally glad. Why are you exceptionally glad? His words chosen. He seems very thrilled that they caught someone. I was surprised, but exceptionally glad that some form of resolution is forming. I feel exceptionally bad for those parents in our community. He lived 1,200 feet from my front door. I spent 6 weeks trying to convince my wife that there was not a threat, and I was wrong. The driver said, adding that the wife still fears walking their dog despite Koberger's arrest. I wonder why. Why is she still afraid? Huh? What does she know? I want to know what she knows. Did she see you with any cuts, wounds? How many times have you been home late? How many times have you picked up these girls and do them a favor out of the kindness of your heart to be their driver? I suspected from everything that I read that whatever happened in the house was exceptionally violent, far beyond what a scorned lover would do in regard to the sheer violence. Scorned lover? Ooh. Why is that on your mind, Eric? They were all good employees in Mad Greek. They were all nice girls. They were always polite with me. I'm hoping they have an ironclad case. I desperately, desperately hope that they have this locked down. If they let this guy walk, it's a shame. Well, if I had committed a crime, I would also want them to have an ironclad case. If I was roaming the streets still, and they had an innocent guy in jail. Because if they don't have an ironclad case, guess who might be questioned again? Desperately, desperately hope they have this locked down. His word choice throughout several interviews sticks out like a sore freaking thumb to me. And if you're the person that's going to comment and say, I don't think it was him, I think it was somebody pretending to be Eric, I freaking doubt it. He knows too much. If you read the entire interview, which I'm not going to, I'll link them. He knows too much. He knows these girls. He goes on about what he did for the university. Somebody who would be potentially pretending to be Eric, I don't think would know this much information. So Eric is very strange, very strange. The quote about the ironclad case, ew. The quote about scorned lover, the sheer violence is ew. And again, when we go back to the Facebook post, yes, of 2013, remember, just to close, dear Facebook, you make stalking someone too easy. It's kind of creepy. Yuck. Yuck. That's makes me want to vomit. This is a vomit-inducing post. What type of person puts this type of material on their Facebook, along with the coordinates of two young females who appear to be alone on a freaking empty road hiking? Again, that's a big WTF from me. So, I am sickened by this post alone, not to mention the other ones I talked about. I want to know, what do you guys think about him? Eric Goer. And I want to know, what do you think about him potentially doing this job of picking up young college students, maybe unpaid? I don't know if he is paid or not. But from what people have said, this is a volunteer type of work. Very sketchy. Very sketchy to me to want to volunteer to help young people who are potentially not in their five senses, who are young, who are potentially high risk for being taken advantage of because they are not in their five senses, and you're married. And you picked them up on, or dropped them off at 1:56 a.m. on a Sunday. Is this what you normally do? Do you not work Mondays? What time do you work Mondays? I doubt that Moscow PD asked all the questions. So, I'm gonna go. I can feel my fever coming back up. It's either that or this freaking post just irks me. Like, people like that disgust me. I've never been stalked before that I know of. I'm sure maybe, who knows? But that's insane. So last reminder, be careful what you post on your social media. Be careful who you share with. Turn off your location. Don't let people know where you are at when you are there. If I go to Cancun, I'm not gonna tell you I'm in Cancun when I'm there. I'll post about it when I'm back in Chicago. We don't need that type of negativity around these places. This guy just doesn't sit well with me. And for the people defending him, saying, it's not him, Nika. He was not the driver. I don't know, I think he was. For all I know, people saying it's not Eric, could be Eric with a fake account, I don't know. Again, remember Occam's razor. So, that's the video, guys. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think of this guy? Do you find that post creepy? I do.